Hey, what's up, everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and it's time for the first dev.stream. It's loosely called dev.stream. It's going to be a series of remote podcasts that we do with manufacturers, generally going to be the developers, but sometimes we're going to get a special guest like today, a product specialist. And of course, today we're talking about Soundtoys, and that product specialist is Mitch Thomas. Mitch, how you doing, man?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm not the dev guy. I'm definitely not that. But I love the products, and I a lot of presets and some of the sounds that people get to listen to. So at least I feel good about it, right?
Well, I mean, I was setting up for this remote podcast. I did some digging, as you do before you interview somebody. And your videos on YouTube go back on the Soundtoys channel 12 years, which, wow, that's mind-blowing to me. I've only been doing this for about 3 years. I can't imagine, 9 years down the road what's going to be going on. But really great work. You seem like a natural. You seem to take it quite naturally, jumping in front of the camera. There was one video in particular that I wanted to bring up just real quick before we jump into... do you know which one I'm talking about by any chance?
No, I'm afraid no.
It was what is it called? Soundtoys trade show training video.
That's old.
Yeah, it's 12 years old, and it was you working out, getting ready for like NAMM and stuff. It was an incredible video. To be able to do that, and it seems like it was one of your first videos actually, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is the dude. But as I said, 12 years with the company. I've seen so many of your videos, obviously. We actually met, I think, 2 years ago at the NAMM show. I did a quick video with you. It must have been 2 years ago because that's about when Little Plate came out, right?
Yeah. It's been 2017 is when Little Plate came out, so it's been a little while.
Oh, so it could have been 3 years ago. Or maybe I've seen you twice. You know the NAMM show, though.
Yeah,
the NAMM show is insane. Yeah. But if you just want to let us know real quickly about sort of your background, maybe how you linked up with Soundtoys, what you do specifically for Soundtoys besides just making the videos, just so everybody who doesn't know already can get a sort of introduction to Mitch Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been with Soundtoys. I think I will start in October, my 19th year. We were just kind of discussing that the other day in the company. I was like, yeah, it's been my son was born the year I came on, and he just graduated yesterday.
Wow.
So yeah, it's cool. It's been a great journey. I love Soundtoys. It's such a creative vibe, and I don't know if you can see. I can't see my own video feed, all the stuff behind me, but I'm very into synthesizers and making noises and stuff. So it kind of felt natural. I was at Waves for 6 years before that, and so that my transition from sort of the technical side to the cool creative vibe, it just worked out perfectly for me. So, and been here for quite a while. I'm product specialist. I'm not one of the dev guys. Math is mean to me. So I could never go that far. I thought about it many times, and our dev team's brilliant bunch of guys who and gals and folks and that make this stuff happen and blow my mind because every time something comes out, I'm as blown away as everybody else. So really, what I am is a big giant fan who just happens to work for the company. So and. Yeah, I mean that's basically the rundown. I've done tons and tons of presets for the Soundtoys products. I also do sound design for some other synthesizer companies, and because I just love it. I write music. I'm painfully stuck in '80s new wave still. I just can't get out of it. So I'm obviously showing my age, and obviously showing my age. At this point, if you watch my videos, you can see me get older and older.
I like the white hair. The white hair phase was pretty nice.
Yeah, well, that hair has been many different colors through the trade shows. That used to be the people are like, "Wow, your hair's normal this year. What's going on?" It's like,
are you okay? Is everything okay?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, I'm a little worried about it not coming back, so I've got to be careful. But it's that point in life.
Well, I mean, on the '80s new wave, it seems like that's actually coming back around. So you might be at the forefront at this point.
I
It's
might
coming
finally
back.
I'll be a star if I like. It's what my dreams are going to come true. The
Yeah,
synthwave is really catching on. I mean, and the accessibility of all these great new analog synths is fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
I'm addicted to Dave Smith stuff, and I do sound design for them. I love those guys, amazing products, and there's a ton of stuff. Gordon's killing it. Anyway, I'm selling other people's stuff.
yeah. Don't worry, we're gonna jump into Soundtoys. Speaking of Soundtoys, they're based in Burlington, right?
Burlington, Vermont. Yeah, it's
That's great. I grew up in a little town in New Hampshire, and we used to go to Burlington quite often. And I believe Church Street is like the main street, right? Have you been?
oh yeah, many times. It's one of the main streets for sure. You know, it's a you get out and it runs straight down the middle of the
Right.
square. So
I mean, beautiful city. I couldn't imagine a better place to sit back and develop plugins.
it's
It's laid
a
back.
great place. The owner is Ken Bogdanovich, who was with Eventide for many years and created the H3000. That's pretty nice legacy for knowing how effects work. And he's he started the software company and then decided, man, he really likes to ski. So he moved it all. He moved it all to Burlington so that when he wasn't coding, he could go hit the slopes, and it's a good thing. It keeps everybody calm and focused, I guess.
Nice. Perfect. How big is the company now? So we know about Ken, we know about you. Like who else how big is the team at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we have essentially three guys who are really kind of working code, and that's Ken and Chris and Eugene is our new guy, and I've got to be careful because a lot of this stuff happened over the whole craziness period where we brought on a bunch of new people, and I've never even actually physically met them because of this stuff.
Yeah.
But pretty tiny team to be honest, and we're doing all this stuff. Like Ken has been stuck in a bunch of kind of behind the scenes stuff for ages now, trying to move us forward, and thus product development has fallen off just a bit. It's not done. It's not gone. Don't worry, everybody. Don't freak out. Stuff is still. We're still working on things. Our ideas are still moving forward. We're just not quite as fast as we hope they would. I wish I could blame the pandemic, but of course, being locked in doesn't affect code guys, right?
Well, I mean, we can blame it on the pandemic if we want.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
As
Scapegoats go, I think COVID
pretty
is
solid.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty tiny company. I guess at this point, because we had to expand our tech team pretty heavily, tech support guys, maybe 18 people.
That's pretty big, actually. That's pretty healthy.
Yeah, but it's a big chunk of that is our tech support team, just to try to make sure we got everything covered during this, because I mean it was rough, and we kind of had to expand it, and that's counting pretty much everybody. We only have a couple of remote folks now, and myself included. I work out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and which is my hometown. And let's see, and the accounting and everything else. It's everything. So
yeah.
It feels small. I guess it feels a little bigger because when I came on, it was basically 6. It's definitely expanded.
Well, I mean, how many plugins are we at now that are currently available in the Soundtoys catalog?
21. So I lose count because I sort of think of some of them as a single plugin. Some of the bigs and littles I feel like are one, and FilterFreak is technically 2 plugins, but it's really just one.
Yeah,
and
I feel it. That's understandable.
Yeah.
What was the most recent release that you had?
That would
And
be
it was Little Plate.
Yeah.
By the way, Little Plate lives on my reverb send on my default template. It is so lush and so good and so easy. Like the fact that I don't need to do anything, and it sounds good every time. if I need to do something special later, but like just having it there instead of I use Ableton Live, instead of having live reverb, I just switched it out for a little plate, put it around 3 seconds, and rolled off the bottom end, and boom, I just leave it there. And I very rarely need to go in and tweak it in terms of reverb. So I've been very vocal about this for a long time. Little plate is my go-to. It just sounds so good, and it's the reason why we kind of linked up is because right now there's a huge Soundtoys kind of annual sale going on. Yeah. And little plate's like $30. And I was like, and I posted, I don't do like posts and stuff about it, but I was like, this is the best $30 you'll spend all year. It just makes sense. So I end rant about little plate, but man, it just sounds so good.
And begin rant about little plate over here.
Go. I want to hear it.
I had no idea it was $30. Man, that's great. That's stunning. It's because I agree. It was a big surprise, and I've told the story at trade shows when it was out that when we started working on it, I was like, why are we doing a plate? I mean, there's like 6 plates out, and there's at least 2 or 3 that are modeled on the same thing we were modeling. Granted, we went kind of over the top. I don't know if you read the backstory or not, but we had 6 of those things. It's like 6
to do your modeling.
Tons. Yeah, because they kept breaking and they wouldn't work, and we'd have to get another one.
These are the huge ones, yeah?
Oh, they're monstrous. It takes 4 people to move it. Wow. And you put these big bars through and it has the little things built into it so you can drag them around, and it was nuts. And so I was like, why are we doing that? And I kind of questioned it the whole time. And when it came out, I was like, wow, our team is masterful at taking something and making it very usable. It's like there's a lot of delay plugins out there, and there's some really cool stuff out there, but there's something about the Soundtoys system and design. And I felt this way before I came on, which maybe my enthusiasm is why it worked out so well. But it's just very usable. It's very musical. It feels comfortable, as a musician and a guy who's messed around with gear and pedals and effects. It just feels like I'm ready to go. I can jump into a Soundtoys product and go.
Yeah.
And Little Plate was the surprising thing about it was so simple, so few controls, and yet you can dial in what you need almost every time with nothing but it. There's a couple of I love the short setting to put a little body behind things, especially snare drums. You take it all the way down, even keep the bottom end on it, but push it way back, and it just gives a little beef to voices and snare drums and stringed instruments and things like that. And of course, the big stuff is crazy, cool, lush, and the guy, Chris is Santoro is the guy who put that together on our team, and the modulation. I was like, man, that modulation is awesome. What are you doing there? And he wouldn't tell me because he knows I collab.
And you were prepared to. You would have done that right now. You would have told us exactly.
I was like, oh my god, it's like the secret. Yeah, I got a big mouth.
This is the thing, is like you just flip the switch on Little Plate, where in some of the other reverbs it seems conceptually like you'd want control over what waveform is being used, how fast it is, but like really just flipping the switch and having it sound great is, for me, 50 million times better.
And that's the thing, is because it's not that simple. That's why he wouldn't tell me. And it was like, because I was like, yeah, I want to be able to change the speed. He's like, it's something else. And I was like, okay, never mind. It's cool. It sounds amazing. I'll leave it alone. You're safer not telling me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you talked about the Soundtoys system, and it's very apparent, and we were talking about this before the stream started, is the Soundtoys community is very, very strong. I don't know how many people are here watching right now, but I'm sure there are a lot, and a lot of fans on the same page as you. You've been a fan for a while, even before you jumped on the team. But I mean, hats off to the dev team over there, because they're doing something right, and time again. And I'm sure we're going to get a million questions about what's next. which I mean, we're obviously not going to talk about, but I'm sure it's going to be just continuing the lineage that has been so profound in the VST world. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Everybody else is, but you don't have any sort of something a little
we're
tea something.
Yeah, it's the modulation secret I wasn't supposed to tell you.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's.
We got the schematics. Yeah.
Development has not stopped. It's not stopped. It's been going constantly. So that means there's some big things that have been going in the background. I've gotten to see some of them. Because of the stuff that's in the way, we have been slower than normal, and we're not known for being fast because Ken is extremely picky about what goes out the door. I've yelled a lot sometimes, and then I've had to take my yelling right back because he was right. And I've learned to try to be as patient as I can, but I'm as rabid as everybody else about wanting something, and so is the dev team. I mean, they're like, we've been working on this forever. Let's just get going, and it's coming. I mean, so we hopefully get to kick in full steam very soon. We may have a couple of kind of minor things that come out that may not be as minor as they seem. There's one in particular that's on the way that will seem like oh gosh, I can't believe that's all you're giving us, and then you have to go back and go, nah, it's bigger than you think. Perfect. It's really as simple as it seems. It's exponentially cool. So
of the current roster publicly available, what are some of your go-to sound toys and why?
I cop out with this one every single time because I say effect rack. Yeah,
you can't do that though. You know this.
But effect rack was the dream come true. It was the reason Ken began. Was he was putting together all these components over the years to build this effect system.
When did that come out?
Effect rack came out with Soundtoys 5, so 2015. Yeah. My brain doesn't work, and time has left me. But somewhere it's been a while. We've made a couple little minor updates over the years, and of course we've added several new plugins to it because its own thing.
Tell us why then Effect Rack is your go-to. We'll run with it. We're not going to put you on the hook. Why is it?
I love all these things, so I could do the other way, but I can tell you very quickly. Obviously, Effect Rack, the combination of these components was the goal. And so having a killer filter and killer delays and modulation and all that stuff to be able to put them all together and interact with each other, that was the goal. And because that gives you sound design possibilities that are kind of, I keep finding new stuff. And for everybody who is out there and is interested in how far out it can go, there's a free set of presets called Outer Limits on our webpage. You kind of have to dig around for it. Because I think it's falling back in the news items, but it's there and it'll show you some of the just totally wacky stuff that's possible. Because I dug in deep and said, how far can I go with this stuff? And it really was the outer limits. Nice. So that's why I really dig, Effect Rack as all. But when you go into single plugins, I use obviously EchoBoy constantly. The Decapitator is a very, very popular plugin for us, but it's not one I turn to a ton. I know why people use it. I know the different ways people use it, and I agree with those ways. But as a sound design guy, I turn toward other things. FilterFreak is one of my favorites of all time, and it was the first one that I really, from the Soundtoys line, when I came on, that plugin had just come out and was in its infancy, and so it became like my baby. But, like my son who just graduated, it was actually born right after him. So nice. Yeah, and then Crystallizer, a lot of people don't get it. It's one of my favorite plugins of all time too. And I should do a video. That's what I need to do, is a video showing, here's some things you can do with Crystallizer that aren't wacky.
What I mean, this is a good time to actually bring it up. We have 3 videos that you made on some different processes using Soundtoys. We're going to play those for people watching in the stream, in the chat. If you have any questions, obviously, any questions at all for Mitch about Soundtoys or just about life in general, By all means, fire those over. He's a well-traveled man, and he knows.
I do know the secret to life. If you want to know,
It's not 42. So we're also going to play 3 videos. We'll probably set one up now, but is one of the videos featuring Crystallizer?
No, not this time. Well, yeah. I guess it works into the last video. Is our creating shimmer type effects, and absolutely, that's one of the key parts of it.
Okay.
But it's in effect track, so we get to kind of see how they all go together.
So why don't we go ahead and set up this first clip? What are we going to be watching?
First one is a trick that came around a long time ago. It's one of those other things where you go, people keep finding new things to do with the plugins, no matter how old they are. But this trick has been around a long time. It was a favorite of Trent Reznor. I think Morgan Page is the one who actually brought it to our attention first. But it's using EchoBoy as a saturator with no delay. So you turn the delay completely off, and you use the cool styles that are built into it that have their vibe and their color and their sound as a saturation. And for users out there, if you don't know already, our plugins were kind of designed to be hardware-esque, where you could push them. They're designed to be pushed. You can actually crank the input and the output, and they saturate more instead of blowing out. They will blow out in terms of like, oh, that's just too much, but it won't blow up the plugin. Like some plugins, you crank it up too high, you can automatically hear the digital artifacts and things that you just do not want. But our plugins mostly are designed to go to extremes without any of that. They're designed to break apart the way hardware would.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so with EchoBoy, you can get in there, turn up the saturation. You can drive the inputs and outputs and get more of it. Most of that's in the video, but Morgan was using it on vocal. And it explains in the video, there's a little bit of phase in there because the engine itself has a little bit of latency, even at 0 delay, because it's doing what it's doing. And there's also several functions inside the plugin you don't immediately think about that add more delay to it. So you can get into phasey area, it gets in the chorus area, but I use that. There's some bass presets that the chorus is like, oh, that's fantastic. And so he was using it on vocals and just using it mixed back in, so he didn't lose the clarity on the vocal, but he had a little edge behind it. I was like, that's awesome. And I created a whole bunch of presets for bass guitar, which we see some of them in the video. We played them on drums, and we're like, holy, this is so cool. But you do have to be careful. You have to, watch for it because it is a delay. It does have some inherent delay in it, so it can push things a little bit, make your track feel a little weird sometimes. But you can compensate for all that stuff, while you're mixing. If it feels like, oh, I pushed it a little too far, but man, I love that sound. Yeah, that's what you do. So that's what this one's about.
So let's go ahead, Joel. Our producer is going to go ahead and play that video for everybody, and Mitch and I will be right back as soon as that video is done. All right. So yeah, Mitch, a great video. Everybody in the comments are really going off about how great it sounded. So well done. You seem like you should do this for a living, make these videos.
I should. I'm going to try to get into that. I wonder what the N is for
that. But you and I were talking, and we decided that maybe just as a throwaway or a throwback to the community here that's involved in this live stream, we're going to go ahead and give away a Soundtoys 5 bundle to 2 lucky people. And so, chat, could win. You could win. We're going to announce it at the end. My friend Simon will send me 2 random names, or perhaps we can have someone answer a question. What do you think is a good question, Mitch, to have them entered into maybe your favorite Soundtoys plugin?
Oh man, then that means they had to be paying attention before they knew they had to pay attention. That's evil.
Where you're from's a little bit too. It's a little bit too bland, I think. It's been done. It's overdone. Where are you from? Well, you think of a question. You think of a good question, a good solid question it might be an interesting to see responses to, and we'll just move forward. I actually have a bunch of questions here from the community, and one of the questions was, do you think Soundtoys might consider making outboard gear? I know it started with hardware and then moved, Ken moved to software, but now that he has a really solid brand, is there a logical step? Is it something you've talked about maybe, in the break room or wherever there are actually solid plans, or is there anything you can give us about the possibility of me being able to get my hands on a Decapitator physical unit?
Here's what I can tell you.
Nice. Here it comes, guys. Here it comes.
So hardware has always been on the list. It was basically how long to circle back to hardware. Hardware is a dream for me because I'm an old school sales guy who still likes the idea of getting in my car, driving somewhere, and handing a box to somebody and having them go, "Oh my God, this is awesome." I love that. I love hardware, as you can probably see. Ken loves hardware. You should see the freaking collection he's got. And most of that so we can analyze things and look at it, but it's hardware. We love it. So do we want to do hardware? Absolutely. We absolutely want to do hardware. Is it hard? Yeah. It's hard to move from a software company to a hardware company. And I will stop right there. And you guys will go, is it going to happen?
Yeah. That is just enough to get us. Yeah.
I've always said hardware is going to happen. So when will it happen? I don't know. But it's a dream for everybody there. I think we've had requests for so many years. It just seems like a no-brainer. We've got requests for Crystallizer as a guitar pedal, as a Euro rack, or PrimalTap as both pedal Euro rack, Decapitator for pedals or desktop stuff, and there's just so many ideas out there that have come around and people have requested them that it seems like it's got to happen, right?
Well, on the question of new stuff, and I know we've already talked about it. There's new stuff coming. A question that has been asked, I think, at least 50 times in the chat, and I actually have it here on my questions list, is synthesizer. You guys do, obviously, processing is next level. Is there in the pipeline, or again, has there been any discussion in terms of a synthesizer, or are you going to just continue to make great processors? Because obviously, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you don't need to branch out, But what do you have anything to say on that front?
See, when you make it as broad as, have we ever discussed it? Then I cannot say yes almost every single time.
I'm just trying to set it up for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm trying to make it easy as possible for you, Joe.
I think Ken probably has 6 or 8 notebooks full of ideas from, back when he first started, and ideas have been flying ever since from every imaginable direction. Have we talked about synthesizers? I think at least I have, as you can probably guess. Let's make a synthesizer, since I love them so much. And Chris, one of our developers, one of the first things I think what he sent in for us to look at was a little mini Moog that he had done when he was in school. So can it happen? Will it happen? Should it happen? I think the answer is probably yes to all of those. When?
Again.
Yeah. When is tough, because it's just a matter of do we push off what we do really well to focus on something brand new that's bigger,
right?
That we don't know as well, into a very, very saturated market. Not that effects are not. I mean, we're, like I said, we just released the 5th or 6th plate reverb that was already out there. So can we still do that with a synthesizer and go, yes, we do have an idea that's better than, not better, but it has its place out there. There's a lot of great synths out there. I love them. I'm a big fan of several of the software synth companies out there. But I think there's always space. And I think that our team is really good at finding the sweet spot that might be missing or just hasn't been quite done the way we would do it. Nice. I mean, EchoBoy is a prime example. Everyone's like, why are you making an Echo plugin? There's, this is from way back. I don't know if you guys even remember the plugin called Amp Farm, which was... I
do not. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was long ago, and it was like, it had all that stuff in it. And I think that was the name of it. Gosh, it's so far back. Anyway, it was a delay plugin with all the pedals and all the echo machines. But when we came out with it, we had an idea. I mean, EchoBoy was designed to be the super warm but clean and rich enough to put it on a solo vocal right up in the front of the mix and not feel bad about it. Like those guitar pedals and stuff, sometimes you're like, I don't know. Maybe we just need to go to a good room. But that's what we wanted. We wanted to fill that missing spot, and so we did the 2-track tape machine and the 2-inch tape machine and the 1-inch tape machine models that really both kind of grab that. It's got that lushness, but it's not too grungy, and you can get there if you want. But anyway, so synthesizer back then, I circle around pretty far outside of that loop, but synthesizers possibility is yes.
I do want to just remind everybody watching that the annual Soundtoys sale is happening now. My friend Simon can post a link to it in the chat. Now is the time to grab Soundtoys that you don't have yet. For sure. You can even get the bundle at an insanely low price, almost 50% off. I believe it's like 45% off or something. It's just an absolute steal. And, another thing, too, is 2 winners. Plugin Boutique's going to be giving away a copy, and Soundtoys as well. I just want to point that out so everybody knows that Soundtoys has come to the stream in good faith to say, yes, we want one lucky producer to have a really wonderful day and rest of the year, because all of the toys. Yes. Another interesting question here, and
okay.
The design aesthetic of Soundtoys plugins. Do you know anything about sort of the methodology behind there? They are very particular in how they look. Obviously, taking hardware engines, if you will, or circuitry, it seems like they've gone the same way with the design of them. But it was an interesting question that I've thought about before. It's got a very particular look. I don't know if you have anything you could say about it.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said before, Ken and the crew are really masterful at staying in the Soundtoys way. And that way began with Ken's idea of making these plugins as comfortable and familiar to someone using hardware as possible, while at the same time not being kind of scary to people who had not touched hardware. So
that makes sense.
It stays in this very carefully balanced spot where if you know hardware, you feel pretty at home immediately. And if you don't, the controls are fairly simple to understand. And then, as we Soundtoys folks know, there's always that tweak button, or usually a tweak button where you get to go into, oh my God, look at all that stuff. So cool. But most of that's still pretty intuitive for the most part. There's still a few, like I'm a product specialist guy, and there's some controls in Phase Mistress that I go, I'm not sure I know what that does. I mean, I hear it, I can understand what it does, but I don't know if I could technically tell you what's going on there. So, but
no, I mean, what you said in the very beginning makes perfect sense. You know, if you're, you know, especially when Soundtoys started so long ago, kind of VSTs were just getting maybe rolling or not as popular as hard is to like make people feel comfortable jumping in, I think it kind of hits the nail on the head. And just to continue with that. Did
you just call us old? I think you did.
Yeah, but
well, we're being old.
We can't hide it anymore. I would feel weird if I dyed my beard. You know what I mean? So another question was, you have a favorite delay unit in EchoBoy?
It would, for me, because of the sound design side of things, the style, I would probably be in the Echoplex style. I love the grunge of it. I love the modulation in it. I mean, I tweak everything. If you've watched any of my videos, I've been like through osmosis. I like know all these things, digging around and just trying it, which is why I encourage everybody. I'm not really a super techie guy. I've just been doing it for so long, and I am not afraid to dig deep into a hole that I may not be able to get out of. And this is even in our manuals, try it. It's software. You can't break it. Go for it. And if you've ever heard the Richard Devine presets in your life, you'll know that he went there. That guy he thinks way outside of even myself, and I like to think I'm crazy, but he really got in there. So it's have fun. Like I said, you can't break it. Dig in, go as deep as you feel like, or use presets. It doesn't matter. I mean, the designers for the presets went to a lot of effort to make some great stuff, so you didn't have to spend a lot of time doing it. So
yeah, or just maybe to inspire you to jump in and just go to town. Yeah. And I've got another question here that I think is worth asking, and they say specifically about Little Radiator versus Radiator, if there's any sonic processing differences between them, or is it just a stripped back version? And just on that question, what's the deal, if you would, with the little versions of a number of the plugins that you have? And where is big? You got little plate. Where's the big plate? That's mine. I threw that in there at the end.
All right, I'll try to answer from the beginning to the end. Yeah, the little plugins actually came about because we were going to South by Southwest every year. We were doing a show with Tape Op Magazine. The guys, we love those guys. And every year we would go down and we would have this little plugin and we would give it away for a certain amount of time. And we usually had a contest around it where you get it out to your friends, as many as your friends, and people would win. It was a lot of fun, and it completely shut down our servers every single time. So we had a hard time keeping up with it, but it was so much fun, and that's kind of where the littles came from. And then we would do a reasonable upgrade to the big one later, especially if you had already done it or you won a contest. Anyway, that was kind of the little big idea. Also, the simplicity of the little ones has turned into a whole new thing, because I'll turn to the smaller versions a lot of times just because, I mean, like MicroShift, I'm done.
Yeah.
Little MicroShift, I don't even, although I use all the controls of a big MicroShift, and to be honest, I actually pick big MicroShift most of the time myself, but it is just so easy to go to. Now, the Radiator question, yeah, there's a sonic difference. They're actually modeled on two different Altec pieces. The numbers are going to escape my brain right now, but one of them is the little one is a single mic pre, and the other one is the mixer. So there's actually the big Radiator is two completely different model drive stages. The input and the output have slight differences in their sonic characteristics. So there's some real nuancy kind of tonal things that can go on there. It's not the kind of stuff that I'm not a mix engineer. I'm a sound designer. So some of the things that mix engineers find, I go, I don't hear it until one of them tells me how to hear it. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. I mean, that's how I learned to love Decapitator, because when we first made it, it was a saturator. And the cool thing about it was that it was, full frequency saturator. It wasn't band limited like most of the guitar pedal emulations that were out there. So you could throw a piano track on and saturate it, and you still had highs and lows, and it saturated the highs and lows in these weird ways. It was that part of it to me was really cool. But the subtle part of it, I was like, I don't know. What's the big deal? And then mix engineer showed me how to bring a snare drum out of a mix.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was like, because I couldn't even hear that it was coming out of the mix until he showed me specifically where to listen. He's like, just listen to the very beginning of that snare drum, on, off, on, off. And I was like, I've been standing here for 10 minutes and I couldn't hear it, and now I can. And so those guys are amazing. I'm in awe of mix engineers and what they can do. So
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, 100%.
It's a heck of a rant. Did I miss something else? Another question. Where's Big Plate?
Yeah, that was a question specifically for me, and it was more kind of unless you have an answer, it was just a throwaway.
I do have an answer. It has basically been floating around in the offices for quite a while, but we have a couple questions we have to answer before we decide whether it becomes real or morphs into something slightly different.
Oh, wonderful.
Or very different. Who knows? But that's the thing, is it's like we gotta, as I said before, we gotta know it's falling into a spot we want to represent.
Right. It's not just making a big plate for the sake of making a big plate.
Right, because there's big. Because the same thing can be said, and I'm going to out us again, is there's no big AlterBoy yet.
That was someone else asked that question, or I saw it in the chat. So.
And part of the reason, I'll be straight up honest, part of the reason is because the little versions are badass. Yeah. I mean, they do a great job. I mean, you either love them or you hate them, I guess. But I think, and in fact, I think we're getting ready to cue this right into it, right? The little AlterBoy video is next.
It's insane that yes, that's exactly it, because we've gone off. We're talking too much, I think, but we're talking just enough. I don't want to take too much of your time, is what I'm trying to say. No, so if you want to actually go ahead and set up this next video, and Joel will cue it up, and what are we going to be watching next?
Yeah, so the little AlterBoy video is just kind of a roll through on some of the factory presets. I think there's one non-factory thing at the very end, but because that was the easiest way to sort of say, here's sort of the palette of the types of things it can do, the sound of it, and it's true. People love it or they hate it. And if you're one of those people who doesn't like kind of unusual anomalies, you're looking for some super clean vocal, it's probably not the thing. It's designed to have a character. It's really designed to go. I'm pretty sure that's a little AlterBoy, and we're cool with that. I mean, and it's been hugely popular, so we do know that the people who love it love it. And,
I see it all over the place, all over the place on YouTube. Producers showing how the things are done. So, Joel, if you want to go ahead and run that next clip, and we'll come back right after.
Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way?
Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way?
Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way? Do you remember the days when you said nothing gets in your way?
All right, Mitch, another solid video. I got lots of flame emojis in the chat right now.
Oh, is that good? I don't know emojis.
That's how the young people say, "Great job."
Oh, cool. I had flame-colored hair at one point, but
Really,
all.
multicolored?
Yeah, it was fire. I was
That
like,
sounds-
here's an old reference. I look like Heat Miser. No one even knows who that is, but that's from an old Christmas movie.
But
right,
you had like what, like black, orange,
no,
red?
it's like dark orange and yellow and red, and
That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it was also when I had a lot of hair.
Well, when you had it, you put it to good use. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's still surviving right now. So everyone who told me I was going to ruin my hair doing all that stuff, tough luck. All right, so the video, they enjoyed it, huh?
Yeah, lots of flame emojis now that I've mentioned flame emojis. So we'll just keep going with the questions here. As I said, this is a stream for the community, so we're just going to keep running off questions of people who are interested in knowing a bit more about Soundtoys.
Cool.
A question from a while back was, what are some of the bigger names that you could throw out that have endorsed / used Soundtoys regularly? If you can drop some names, if you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, then you don't have.
No, I mean, it's there's a bunch of stuff out there that we know about. We've had some really, really big names who I was surprised to hear were insisting on our plugins to mix engineers. There are big names like I dropped, Trent Reznor earlier, who is still in my heart gigantic. Not just because we're roughly the same age, as in a couple of weeks apart, but because I loved his music and it drove me further into sound design and synthesizers and stuff. And he's a giant supporter of ours, uses it all the time. He had one of the Lights in the Sky tour, I think, which was amazing. The whole band was using our stuff live, the entire band, including the front of house mix engineer. So it was, and he was triggering EchoBoy with his microphone, with this little thing he had hooked onto the microphone live.
Awesome. I mean, come on, man. He's still huge. He's just kind of transitioned more into film stuff, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing.
But he's been a pioneer since the beginning. If people don't know who Trent Reznor is, I don't know what's going on anymore, and I'm ready to hang it up. I mean, he's just, and it's absolutely phenomenal to know that he was using Soundtoys to do some of the pioneering work that he's done. That's fantastic. Yeah.
And there's plenty of big names, mix engineers and producers. Mike Dean is a huge user and fan, and some of his artists are some of the ones that have specifically said, "Hey, I want Decapitator on my voice." And I'll let people sort through his discography to see what giant singer might that be. That I'm not going to say out loud and have Mike Dean roll down here.
No, that's perfectly fine. Only if you feel comfortable. I've seen Skrillex drop some Soundtoys on his products, just so the younger people maybe. He's dropped in a number of Soundtoys on in some of the videos publicly available on YouTube and such.
I'm certain of that, and I always felt like. In fact, there's I think one of the other presets I did for Little AlterBoy was called Squirrel X, because it was a super pitched vocal. And so He's done some pretty interesting stuff too in the modern age for sure.
He's one of the, I'd say one of the best there is. I mean, he's so far beyond. He gets pigeonholed quite often, I would say, to this because he kind of started or exploded dubstep. But I mean, his tracks, let's be honest, are so good.
He does a great job. He's really good at what he does, and that was like Trent. You know, he wasn't the first one to do industrial music, but he's the first one to make people go, "Whoa,
wow,
what's this new music that my mainstream brain is listening to?" And that was the same thing with Skrillex, where you go, "Wow, I had heard the term dubstep. I had obviously seen commercials were using it and such, but then it was like, that's good."
Yeah.
And another pioneer is I was just listening to some of his old remixes. Is BT.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast like a couple months ago. Phenomenal.
Giant Soundtoys fan, brilliant dude. I mean, I met him back, I guess, as he was working on the NSYNC pop mix, and that, if you've never heard that song, that's all those edits were done by hand.
That's the Guinness record, I think it was from that song. He's got the Guinness World Record of manual vocal edits.
It's so crazy. And the thing, and he was behind the design of the brake tweaker and what's the other one? Stutter. I love Stutter. It's so much fun. And he'll be the first one to go, man, if I could have had this, it'd save weeks and weeks of work. He's an amazing guy, another brilliant pioneer. And it's cool to have folks like that, who are behind us and love our products. So,
yeah.
Anyway, over the years, I've found that it's pretty much everybody. We have just enough cool stuff that fits in the mixes. Dave Pensato is a huge fan and he talks about it all the time. I know all these people like different stuff, but we're usually on the list.
You're on my list.
I'm on my list. I'm probably on lots of different lists, but
you're on, some good, some bad. But I'm on lists. That's something I can say. Someone asked, what makes Sie-Q unique, in your opinion?
Well, the name for sure, because it's been called so many different things. We call it Sie-Q in the office, but that's okay. Here's all the different things that have come around. It's from a company that we pronounce in the U.S. as Siemens. It's a German company, but they pronounce it Siemens. So technically it is Sie-Q, if we want to get down to it. But it's been PsyQ and SIEQ and Psych. So we apparently, the name is the biggest enigma to the whole thing, but it's based on a German broadcast EQ out of a console that was Ken got hold of one, a real one, and the first time he played it for me, the high end on it is just beautiful. It just opens things up in a super magical way, even to extremes where you go, there's no way you should use that, but it doesn't sound that bad, really. I mean, and the low end is not bad either. It's not quite as tight as some of the other things, but that's all a matter of how you're going into it with your mix or your source material. Compression saves the day sometimes, but it's still overall, because it's a broadcast EQ, it's such broad strokes. It's just really, really smooth. It's another little plate. You just go, got it. There's my EQ. That's all I need. And simplicity sometimes saves the day. So anyway,
I have a question about. This might be something that maybe you don't know about. However, when you are modeling a piece of technology, an analog piece of gear, what are you legally obliged to do? Let's say I was modeling that EQ from the company in Germany. If I don't use their name, do I still need to pay some sort of royalty to them? Do I still need to mention it in in the the documentation. Like, what is the if and this, I know this is kind of outside your wheelhouse because I do what you do and I have no clue, but like, what is the roadmap for navigating that sort of situation?
Well, here's the perspective from a guy who isn't in charge of that, but I hang out in the rooms with everyone talking.
Okay.
And I talk anyway, so as it's obvious at this point that I talk all the time. But if you don't use the name, you don't have to do anything, as far as I know, from my perspective. And just looking at things that have come out over the years, if you do use the name, and you should use the name, we do, and we let them know. Yes, these copyrights or whatever still belong to these people, if they're still around, and we're just using it as a historical reference because we got the piece of gear. It's ours. The piece of gear is ours. So we're really only modeling our piece of gear. But and as I said earlier, sometimes that's 6 of those. Or in the case of like PrimalTap with the Lexicon Primetime, that it was based on, I don't know, we had a dozen of them because it kept breaking. I mean, they're all really old, and those things, when they break, they're broke.
Yeah, there's no going back.
Yeah.
There's no re-downloading like you can with Soundtoys' incredible VSTs and plugins.
That's right. They come back. No, you
Infinite
can't
downloads. Fantastic. I think we should go ahead because, again, I said we were only going to keep you for an hour. We're already on an hour. Let's go ahead and run the third and final video, and then come back. But what's this next video about, Mitch?
The next video is going to feature what we just established earlier as my favorite plugin, which is Effect Rack. And I'm going to show how to make the Shimmer effect very quickly and easily using presets that are already kind of built into each of the individual plugins. Now, I will say, I don't know, what's the format going to be on, will folks be able to go back and watch this stream? Or
Yep. Yeah, this will be archived on the Plugin Boutique YouTube channel.
Okay.
I know these videos are going to be repurposed, so we're not going to like edit them and put them up or anything, but people can come back and watch the stream. Maybe we'll be able to put some chapter notes so people can skip right to these videos as well. But that, it will be here on YouTube.
We'll try to get them up on our set as soon as everything's cool and we make sure they fit into the niche. But I was just saying that because I wanted people to be able to go back and kind of watch again, because some of it goes by a little bit fast and some of it's on the screen that you kind of need to see what's going there, and then there's a copy over here you need to read. But it's a pretty quick system for getting to a really cool sound. And I'll say up front, I think I even say it in one of the tabs, bear with us with the sound. It sounds a little weird up front, but I promise it's going to someplace magical.
Well, let's watch the magic. Joel, go ahead and run the tape, and everybody, we'll see you right after this video is over. We got more. Oh, look at that. Fire emojis. Just nothing but fire emojis in the chat. I'm telling you, this is a very good thing. That could be taken one of two different ways, but this is a positive thing in today's internet, internet speech, if you will.
I remember.
So we got other people just typing the word fire over and over again. So you've done it again, Mitch. Yes, you've done it. Beavis and Butthead. Yes. Fire.
Or the references in.
Yes. Not to date myself. But I think we're going to go ahead and set up the giveaway. As I said, 2 lucky people on stream are going to win the Soundtoys 5 bundle. Currently on sale. Everything from Soundtoys currently on sale. Links in the video description, guys and girls. And we've been posting links to the various plugins we've talked about throughout the stream and the chat. Now is the time. Do you know how long the sale runs till? I think it's another week.
Our whole team is watching, so sure time on the chat and go.
Ken, if you want to let everybody know in the chat until when the
Maddie's on there, so if she was able to suffer through this long.
But if you want to go ahead and just,
I think it's the 9th. Pretty sure.
The 9th.
I think. I'm pretty sure.
Simon's watching. Simon can put it in the chat for us. But yeah, definitely. I mean, just go grab it today. There's no reason. Don't delay. Yeah.
I can't believe Little Plate is so cheap. Gosh, I had no idea. Go get that for sure.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. If you don't have Little Plate yet, I'm not lying to you. I'm not joking to you. It is my default reverb on my Send channel. Every time I open Ableton Live, Little Plate is there with me. And I'm not talking to you, Mitch. You already have it. I'm just telling the chat you need to go grab it if you don't have it. So yeah, if you want to just ask a couple of questions, and then we're going to pick 2 lucky people at random who have answered the question. You've also got to hit the like button. I haven't said that enough throughout the video. It helps us with the YouTube algorithms if you hit the like button. So
it's not the like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Josh and Mitch. Come on. So, Mitch, if you want to go ahead and fire off a couple of questions to have people answer, and we're going to choose 2 lucky people. My friend Simon will send them to me, and I will announce those winners at the end of the stream.
Okay. I'm trying to make it easy. So, little AlterBoy shifts 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
What are those 2 things?
And that was actually information that has been divulged by you and was actually featured in one of the videos we just watched, right?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't go specifically over it, but it's pretty obvious on the front panel. There's 2 knobs. One's labeled something and one's labeled something else. It's a pretty easy find, I would guess.
So also just another way to help the community out, because we don't want to shut anyone else out with the giveaway. Just look at what people are putting in the chat. If you see something repeated a million times, it might be the right answer. I've got the fire emojis. Also, fire emojis will get you entered into the giveaway. Okay, if you know how to do the fire emojis, you give me 3 or more fire emojis in the chat.
Maybe that's the second question. What emoji did I not know was a good emoji?
I want to know how I can put fire emoji. There's like little shortcuts, and I don't know if you just type. I think if you like fire or something, I don't know. But people seem to understand the two main. Oh, someone put an incorrect answer in there. I'm watching the chat right now, Mitch. It's on fire, literally.
Spelling's rough on that second one. The first one's pretty easy, but
it's actually going by so fast that I can't read if the spelling is correct. But again, fire emojis will do. Simon, if you're going to pick 2 lucky winners of the Soundtoys 5 bundle, which comes with the rack, right? When you get the bundle, you get the rack.
Yeah, rack. The bundle's everything. I mean, the bundle is the whole kit and caboodle, as they used to say. So yeah, it's the whole deal, and the rack is in there, and I mean, you're set once you
have it, you've got it all. And the rack actually comes with presets that will load multiple different Soundtoys into a chain for you, so it's ready to go, right?
Yeah. So the rack can store full racks, and then each plugin inside of the rack has its own set of presets you can pull from to build your own stuff or tweak, some of the main presets as well. There's lots of different ways to get creative fast with Effect Rack without having to be a nut like me who digs into it super deep. So
yeah, I mean, I've seen the question in the chat. People were asking, if you're ever going to make mixing and mastering plugins, and I would say you already have those. I mean, Soundtoys, as you said, you can go down the rabbit hole into, wherever you want to go. But you've also got some really great tools already at your disposal to put on your master chain, for example, to make things more colorful by way of saturation. You know what I mean? Maybe if you want to touch on that on some of the plugins that you might say would be a nice fit for a drum bus or your mixing process of the mastering chain.
Sure. I mean, we obviously lean toward color and character for most of it, which is not the thing you think of when you say the word mastering. We do have a lot of people who use Decapitator at a less than 1 on their master bus, just for that vibe. There are things going on there. We found out through developing Decapitator just how much stuff was going on by finding out how hard you could push this gear and knowing that it's still going on when you're not pushing it. It's just very subtle, but it makes a difference. And so many mix engineers who come back and said that is absolutely true. I never go past 1, but I can hear exactly what I want to hear, and it makes the mix. So we were pleased that was going on because most of us use it at 3,000. So, certainly for me. The other thing is Sie-Q. Certainly is a really nice just touch and tweak for EQs. Brian Hewitt, great mix engineer, has said he uses a Decapitator as an EQ strictly because it's so fast and so simple. It's low cut, high cut, and a tilt tone control in the middle. So he's like, sometimes, well, I think I said this early, simple is sometimes the answer. And certainly when you're mixing and mixing fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, where is this A Little Dab Will Do You? What is that from?
It's a hair product.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's little Dab Will Do You. It's like 60s, 70s hair product of some sort.
It's gotta be more recent than that. I'm not that old, man. Come on, dude.
No, but it came back around.
You're dating me to the 70s, man.
It's one of those. I dated me. I know what it was. That's the question. You can't win the bundle unless you know what that product was, because we don't. So you're gonna get it right.
No, I mean, you were saying just a little dab will do you, and I think that's the case. Yeah. I mean, if you're on your master chain and you're doing more than a little dab here, a little dab there, you've done something wrong before. You know what I mean? I would say, you shouldn't be doing too much to the fun. I mean, if it's mixed well, but yeah. So I would say that you've got some great plugins that people will find, especially on the drum bus. I mean, for processing drums. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the kind of overtop things, with the Devil-Loc Deluxe that's where it came from. It's a classic trick from Chad Blake, using the old shear level lock. And I mean, he made that piece of gear famous, just straight up. That's why you can't find one on the eBay for less than $1,000 or so. And it's like, what? I got like a whole truckload of those for $20.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
And you can also get it right now as a VST for super cheap because it's on promotion. Go ahead and put a link to that in the chat, please, Simon. Are all of the Soundtoys VSTs modeled after analog gear? One piece of analog gear, essentially?
I mean, there's the little ones like that, the ones we talked about that kind of started as prizes for our parties that we were having. They were all pretty much all modeled on a specific piece of gear that just had character that you go, man, I think we're the only people who are going to model this, so we got to do it. And it was just something that was a cool trick, like Chad Blake's level lock drum trick, amazing. The Sie-Q EQ was just one of those out there kind of, that's really great. and it needs to be out there, and it fit a space, you know.
Right, like you were saying before. No, it's perfect.
Yeah, and but like some of the plugins like EchoBoy and Decapitator are inspired by or pieced together from lots of different angles. I mean, Decapitator is several different mic pre's. EchoBoy has all the styles of the different things and some stuff we made up on our own. You know, just because it was like, wow, you can go so much further with this. We don't have to do just modeling. Plus, you know, we all have kind of vibe and character, and the design guys do too. And they just wanted to, you know, why not have something cooler than just the hardware if you can? And if the hardware's cool enough and simple enough, I mean, the other side of that simplicity was we just wanted to be able to do it and be done. You know,
right.
there's the level lock, and ta-da, you got it. It's 2 knobs, and actually, that's more than what the real one had. The real one had 1 knob, so I guess that's the story. We don't always stick strictly to modeled, but sometimes we do when it works.
Well, I mean, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like,
yeah,
you
know, if you can fix it, make it better, go ahead, go for it.
So let's talk about Mitch though for a second.
Oh God.
Of modern producers, and you're a sound design person, and I like to dabble myself. Who are some producers people should be checking out by ways of just what they're doing with sound design? Is there anyone on the top of the dome that you could just kind of let us know who you just listen to and are like, it's mind blowing, it sounds fantastic. If it was real, I would, I'd eat it.
You're probably better at this than I am, because I think I outed myself earlier saying I'm stuck in the 80s with my music, and I don't expand too much out there. I mean, I go and listen to music. So I can say some of my favorite stuff of late, just kind of musically and sonically and compositionally, is St. Vincent. I love everything that she does, and every engineer or producers that have worked with her have all continued to capture that, and so it really has turned out well, regardless of who she's working with. Who else? I mean, there's, again, on the spot, because I just don't listen to a ton of modern music, because I'm still kind of stuck and blown away by when I go back and listen to somebody like Vince Clarke and his work with Depeche Mode and Yaz, and I listened to the mixing and the engineering that was going on back then. And yes, there's some inadequacies compared to some of the stuff that we have now, but a lot of the stuff's being remixed because the mix was there. We just didn't sonically have a way to put it out back then, and now you get to go, oh yeah. But the way everything went together and all this, I think that's the thing I marvel at the most, is all the stuff they had to go through back then that the modern age of software has said, you have no idea how hard this was.
I mean, the limitations that they had and what they were able to achieve is mind blowing, and hats off to everybody involved with the music that we grew up with. It is, I wouldn't say, I don't want to say easier. It's not easier now. You still hear garbage out there, but I would say if you're a skilled engineer or a skilled sound designer, I think it's easier now than it's ever been, obviously. But it's still not an easy thing to do, to make something that sounds fantastic. Like you're saying, Depeche Mode stuff, 9 Inch Nails stuff holds up today. On my Spotify playlist, you'll find 9 Inch Nails all over the place, because it's just that good, and it fits right with the music of today. It was just so ahead of its time, that sort of thing.
Well, it is easier to get to the result you're going to get to. There's no doubt. Where you're going to make something great, then you're probably going to make something great easier. Where you're going to make garbage that no one wants to listen to, like I do, then that's probably where you were going to be.
No, 100%. 100%. So do you publish music? Can people listen to your music on Spotify or somewhere? If you want to go ahead and let us know. I mean,
I was in a band actually in the '80s called Occupant, which I think there's some Occupant stuff out there. If Knoxville, Tennessee is tied to that name, there's like 50 billion bands called Occupant now. But the current band is called Synthetic Things. Once again, stuck in the synth new wave. It's just me and another guy, and we both do sound design on the backside. So it's just kind of like, oh god, two sound design nerds in a drum machine. Sounds like a Beck lyric. But
Dude, that's funny.
But yeah, so it's fun. We haven't done a whole lot because of me. I've been in a weird slump for a long time, and then pandemic was like, oh, stay in that slump. So I'm starting to come out now, and finally got all my gear hooked back up, and added a couple of new pieces to keep the the gear urges moving forward. And
so I know, obviously, by your backdrop and by the fact that you've stated it so many times, hardware is your thing. But what are some synths? I know this is outside of Soundtoys for a second, but what are some synths that you go to get a lush sounding 80s style lead or pad or even bass? Are there some specific ones that you find yourself going to repeatedly? Is there one that sticks out maybe in the forefront of everything?
There are several.
Or you just not touch them, or you just, if it's not hardware?
No. I mean, it's for plugins. Are you saying which ones?
Yeah, the VSTI.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Arturia. I love their line.
I mean, their modeling. They're sounding like hardware in the box.
Yeah, they're really close to the path that we've been on, just kind of on the synthesizer side of it, and I love their products. They make fantastic products. And of course they go really, really well with the Soundtoys setup as well, and pretty much across the board. I mean, all their emulations are really well done. I am a subscriber of the Roland Cloud, and I think those guys do a really good job with making their products. I'm not a giant fan of their system because I seem to have trouble accessing more often than not. But the sounds are so good, I can't not go for it. In fact, they're so good, I snagged the little Jupiter XM to make sure I had them, even if I couldn't get the software going. So
that's a good plan B.
Yeah, it's a good plan B. And of course, I've also got hardware versions of a bunch of the things that Arturia has made, so backup is in place. And I usually use my hardware anyway to if I'm really tracking. But it's great to have something that you go to fast and right. I don't have to hook everything up. I don't have to go reroute everything. And so and again, just like our software, the guys building this stuff have gotten really good at it. Mm-hmm. So there's some great software engines out there for synthesis and sound design. I mean, obviously, things like Absinthe that have been around forever are amazing sound design tools, if not a horrible set of rabbit holes for someone like myself. And massive, tons of great options out there. And all of them, are sincerely enhanced by Soundtoys products, and that's not a sales pitch, even though it sounds like one. But it is.
Both. It could be both.
Most of those things, you would take a piece of hardware and you would run it through some pedals or some outboard gear. That's what you're doing in the software world. So you need the high quality outboard gear to go with the high quality, inboard gear. Is that a word?
Have you had any hands on with like Yuhi's synths, Diva or Hive?
I have. What's the Retro?
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a gigantic. I mean, I grew up on a Prophet 5, so when they started working on that, the Pro 1 and the Prophet 5, I was selling sequential products in the 80s when they were coming out new. And so I followed that closely and snagged it, and I really, really loved that. I've heard, I can attest to the quality of that product and say, yeah, I'm sure everything else is really well done.
I'll try to get you a copy of Diva because I think you'd really like it, and it's I mean, sound quality wise and sticking with sort of the 80s theme. I mean, it's so big, and I don't know what it's modeled after, or even if it is, but it's laid out like a piece of analog gear, so you'll feel right at home when you jump in.
I'll toss two more out real quick because they're not gigantic names out there, and that let me the Lush 101 is amazing. And what's the name of the company? It's a odd name, but a very, very cool company. All the stuff they make. Guys, I'm so sorry. This is terrible. But they make 808 clones and 909 clones, drum machines. DB. I'm going to look up the link while I toss the other one out. The other one is Synapse Dune. Is strangely out of what I would normally turn to for synthesizers, but it's a great sounding plugin. Amazing.
While you're looking up that name, I just want to remind everybody to put the two parameters that are tweakable or fire emojis for your chance to win. We're going to be wrapping up soon, so now is the time to be active. 2 people are going to win the Soundtoys 5 bundle. Soundtoys 5, everything from Soundtoys is on sale right now. Does it happen once or twice a year, this sale, Mitch?
Yeah. Well, we do it. This one is called the summer sale, so it only happens once a year.
Once a year. No, that's all we need. That's once a year this happens. Click the link in the video description. You want to get it. You want to get something. There's all price ranges. If you can, grab the bundle because once you have it, you got everything, and you really don't need anything else once you've got that bundle. I've got the bundle, and I feel fortunate every day I open my DAW. So. Fire emojis is taking the cake right now, but yeah, keep putting it in there. We're going to choose 2 people in a second. What was the name of the company? Did you go ahead and find it, Mitch?
D16 Group, and I feel bad.
D16, of course. Yeah, they make fantastic stuff.
I've been a huge fan of them since they came out, and they've grown quite a bit, and I still dig all their products. We have a few little kind of competing crossover things, but we love that everyone's got space in the marketplace, so it's not really a big deal. But I'm a giant fan of the SH101, which was also one of my first synths. So I think they did an excellent job recreating that. There's a lot of them out there too, but theirs was in particular a really great version.
No, we're all big fans of the D16 too, and as you said, Arturia's synths. I mean,
hard to beat.
They sound, they sound phenomenal.
They've got such an amazing roster now.
The list of you're absolutely correct. The list, what else can you say about it? They sound phenomenal, and obviously them combined with Soundtoys is,
it's a good hit.
80s synthwave, and you're done. You got it made over there, Mitch. You get all the Soundtoys before anybody else. It's not fair.
I'm going to be a star. I can't wait. My time.
Well, Mitch, it's been an hour and a half. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you've got videos to make, hair to dye.
Right. Now I've got songs to write.
Yes, you've got fame to chase. But I want to thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can't think of anyone that could have done it better for our first dev/product specialist stream here on the channel. It's gone flawlessly. Thanks for sending over the videos, obviously, to be able to show those, to our community before they actually even went up on your channel. That was a huge thing you didn't need to do, but you did it, and we thank you for it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. As I've demonstrated, I can talk for as long as you want to talk. But I've been shut up for a long time.
We'll do it again when when the things start to trickle out. You just hit me up. We will make time on the channel for you to come by and talk to us about what's new and why people need to be enthusiastic. I'm sure they will be already, but there's no reason for you not to. Go ahead.
Maybe next time we'll get one of the dev guys, so you don't have to change the name of your idea.
No, I told you I ran with it anyway. I ran with dev.stream, and I just was upfront about it. I wasn't going to change the name. I like the name. I like the name, and we're running with it. So people watch it. If you see it, know what it's about. Could be a gentleman like Mitch here, who's a product specialist, or an actual developer. We got some coming up later this week. While everybody's here, we got a Scalar live stream coming up next week, I believe, and then another dev stream at the end of the month with Aberrant Audio, Aberrant DSP. So lots coming up. But thank you, Mitch, one more time. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to see you in January at NAMM. Yeah. So. I was so sad it didn't happen. It was my one chance a year to get out of Brazil, to fly to the States. But
I'm just glad that we didn't. The last one didn't get us.
Yeah, I know. We just missed it, didn't we? That was pretty close. This is a close call. So yeah, I've got my 2 winners. You can stop at the fire emoji. Don't stop at the fire emojis, to be honest. Though.
Fire emojis.
Put them in there. Put fire emojis for our 2 winners. We've got Dale Brown Music and Laser M. So we got Dale Brown Music, DaleBrownMusic, and Laser M, LAZURM. You are both winners of the Soundtoys 5 bundle. And if you just go ahead and email support@pluginboutique.com with Soundtoys bundle winner, and we will get you sorted with your copies of those wonderful, wonderful projects. Congratulations. And that's it, unless there's something else you want to let us know, besides the fact that all of Soundtoys is on sale right now, and the links in the video description, and incredibly low prices, like just crazy bargain deals. Is there anything else that people should know about, Mitch?
That's it. Like you said, that's the thing to know right now. It's the time to get it and start exploring.
Start exploring, start sound designing, start mixing, start mastering, start making, or being creative and staying creative. All right, Mitch, well, I'll let you go. Thanks again, man. I know I said thanks a million times. It's difficult to wrap these streams up for me for some reason, but thank you so much. We spent
so much time together, so it's hard to say goodbye.
Yeah. So I will hopefully talk to you in January, maybe before then. If you got some stuff coming out, we'll do another one of these whenever you want. I'm here. You've got my email. Reach out. Let me know. But thanks to everybody else who tuned in, and we will see you in the next video and the next stream. Bye-bye.